Greetings and welcome to the Tinfoil Tavern, the cocktail-fueled conspiracy podcast based out of a little kitchen in New Zealand.
Thank you. This is my co-host. Some of you know him as Patrick. He's a smooth-brained, top of the bell curve, Thomas Fusby.
Top of the bell curve? That cracks up one of your listeners and insults another. No comment. And that's Hannah. She's not a hoe. She's just a prostitute that does a lot of volunteer work. For those of you new to the podcast, what we do is Hannah breaks down a conspiracy after committing far too much of her life into researching it, while I live under a rock and have absolutely no clue at all. And try to apply an open-minded, unbiased. Don't interrupt me. And try to apply an open-minded, unbiased logic, all while sipping a suitably themed cocktail. Now, I do have to state that the materials appearing on this podcast are provided for general information and entertainment purposes and do not represent us making any claims against any or all parties or people mentioned. I struggled through that line a little bit.
You did.
So to kick things off, first, let's by introducing today's cocktail.
I actually have to introduce ours with a little bit of a disclaimer of my own.
Yeah.
There is no cyanide in this cocktail. Please do not use cyanide in your cocktails or anything that you may imbibe in your body.
And why would people use cyanide?
Because this is called cyanide demise.
Okay. And what's in a cyanide demise?
It's pretty much a margarita, except blue curacao instead of triple sec.
Instead of what? Curacao?
It's blue curacao instead of triple sec. So it's basically a margarita, but I've left off the salt room because he doesn't like that.
I asked for the salt room.
You said half and half, and I know you don't like a salt room. You had mine before on a margarita.
Okay.
My room is not salty. That's it. Oh, fuck yeah, I love a good margarita.
Oh, yeah, that's mediocre as, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, not for me.
It's so good.
Okay.
Alice would like it.
I think season 2 is going to be beers instead of cocktails. Oh, yeah, it tastes bad. Yeah.
It's delightful.
I'm not going to be finishing that.
Is it too sour?
No, it just isn't for me.
So you'd like it even less if there's a salt room?
Yeah, most likely. It tastes a little bit like giving oral to a grapefruit. I like grapefruit, but that's just too much of a...
It doesn't even taste like grapefruit.
No, but it's as unpleasant.
It's mainly lime juice.
Okay, it tastes like a lot of lime juice.
Like giving oral to a lime.
Sure. And sorry, it's a cyanide what?
Cyanide demise.
And a cyanide's demise relates conveniently to today's conspiracy, which is...
Why don't you guess?
Someone who died by cyanide?
Can you think of anyone who died by cyanide?
Nah.
Not a single person.
Not from reality.
Okay, in actual real life. Not a single person you can think of that famously may or may not have died from cyanide.
No.
This is why I call him Patrick. All right, so today's podcast is Hitler. Did he live?
Did he die from cyanide?
Well...
Oh, sorry, did he... Sorry, that's, I guess, the big part of it, but is...
So the common consensus is these days that he bit into a cyanide capsule and then shot himself in the head, hence the...
And then shot himself in the head.
And then shot himself in the head, hence the bullet-shaped ice cubes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
That was incredibly confusing. I didn't know that about Hitler, though. And I didn't know Hitler was a conspiracy, so this should be good.
So you haven't heard any of the conspiracies that he may have lived after World War II?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. I've heard about, say, Nazi zombie bases on the moon. And general, like, alien research, sci-fi kind of related stuff to Hitler, but not that he's alive. So, yeah, real Patrick, living under a rock. And an open mind. Yeah, and an open mind.
Okay, cool. You'll be happy to know that I'm not going to give you an entire rundown of the whole history of World War II.
Oh, that's incredibly convenient. Thank you.
But I will just give you a rundown of the immediate events pertaining to this.
Yeah, relatable facts. Okay, Let's go.
So, in the early months of 1945, it was becoming very apparent that Germany was losing World War II. The Allied forces were closing in, and by the end of January 1945, Hitler had retreated to the Führer bunker in Berlin. The Americans were closing in from the west and Soviet forces from the east. In about mid-April, which was actually Hitler's birthday, Berlin is bombed by the Soviet artillery for the first time, so like central Berlin. Hitler orders a counterattack, but the next day, when he was informed that his commands hadn't been followed out, he had a complete Karen-level tantrum and calls all these people treacherous, incompetent, and admits for the first time that they might be losing.
There's a good movie reenactment of that gets turned into a lot of memes. Have you seen that?
I think that was from a TV series.
Is it a TV series?
Yeah.
It's like he asked a few people to leave the room.
They do the voiceover?
Like different voiceovers? Subtitles. Yeah,
that was from I can't remember what it was called, but it was from a TV series.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that movie, and then before I saw all the memes, or are they memes when they're a video? Because it's quite a long video.
You liked it before it was cool?
No, I just saw the movie before it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they turned into that he, in the reenactment for that series, he really loses his shit about losing the war and people not following his orders. So.
Apparently that's true.
Yeah. Karen level's a good one. Okay.
Karen level tantrum.
Yeah.
So on April 28th, Hitler finds out that his good henchman, Heinrich Himmler, who was a high-ranking SS official and member of the Nazi Party, he was, I'm assuming you don't know much about Heinrich Himmler.
I know the song that involves all his generals, but I don't know much about him, no.
Okay. So he's a high-ranking SS official, member of the Nazi Party, and one of the main architects behind the Holocaust. So, like, a bit of a shit dude. Like, a bit of a shit house.
Yeah, he's a real believer.
Bit of a, not the most pleasant person that we've ever met. So, old Himmler, he actually offered to surrender to the Allies in return for his assistance in brokering a peace.
Oh, man, so a real piece of shit. Not even loyal.
Yeah, not even loyal. And you could be like, yeah, he's a good guy because he tried to broker peace, but also, I don't think he was interested in that beforehand when he was
saving his own ass,
murdering all these people. His offer was actually rejected by the Allies, and then Hitler finds out, and he's super mad.
Cool.
Like, super, super mad. So he strips Himmler of his titles. He shoots Himmler's secretary in retaliation.
The secretary?
Yeah.
Okay.
A male secretary.
That makes it fine then.
Oh, no, the way you said that, I'm assuming that you think of like some innocent...
No, it sounded like shooting the delivery guy.
I think the secretary might have even been Eva Braun's brother, possibly. I can't remember though.
Oh, family would make a better punishment, but okay.
Not sure. I have to check that. So he shoots the secretary in retaliation because the secretary was there, but old Dick Balls was elsewhere. April 29th, the next day, Hitler marries his longtime mistress, Eva Braun.
Next day?
Yes. This all happens very quickly. This is all in the last few days
of
Hitler's life.
She did quotation marks there.
I did.
Yeah.
So April 29th, Hitler marries his longtime mistress, Eva Braun, in a very small midnight ceremony at the bunker. After that, he dictates his last will and testament in the early hours. And then later that day, they receive news that Mussolini, who was, if you don't know, he was an ally of Hitler's, and his girlfriend, Clara Petacci, they'd been executed and the bodies had been strung up by their ankles and later thrown in the gutter and basically kicked and spat on by Italians. So, not a very pleasant thing to happen to your body, but also they're dickheads.
Oh, man. So, I guess I need to pre-reference this with... Before recording this and starting on the cocktails, I've already had a couple of wines and not enough food to eat. And
I made you such a nice cheese board.
No, it was fantastic. But I mean, before that, I was holding out for that cheese board.
So you're saying you're drunk?
No. I'm struggling to focus. And I know we've had a couple of complaints about me sidetracking the conversation a little bit. But, sorry, who got married? Just quickly recap me on that.
Hitler and Eva.
And who got strung up?
Mussolini and his girlfriend.
And they are related to Hitler's wedding because...
They were in relation to his wedding. He heard that Mussolini had this had happened to him. So Mussolini was an ally of Hitler's.
He heard this at his wedding? Yeah. Or the same day?
Sorry, do you not know who Mussolini is?
No.
So he was the tyrant leader of Italy at this time, who is an ally of Germany.
Oh, Italy was an ally of Germany. I did not know that. Okay. Right. So Mussolini's gone burgers.
Mussolini's gone burgers. His corpse and his girlfriend's corpse were abused
Yep.
Hitler decides that he does not want that to happen to his corpse and Ava's corpse.
Okay. Understandably.
Yeah. So at this point in time, he approaches his on-site doctor to procure them some cyanide capsules. And he tests one on his dog, Blondie.
Oh, dickhead.
Who dies instantly, hopefully painlessly. April 30th. The remaining stronghold in the bunker.
So, sorry, 2 secs. He's treating cyanide as a way to stop his corpse from being violated? Or he just doesn't want to be alive when that stuff happened to Tom?
A little bit. So he actually orders people, which I was going to get into, but that's fine.
Okay.
He, in his last will and testament, he requests that his and Ava's corpse get burnt so that people can't do that to their corpses.
But why has he got the cyanide pills, I mean?
What do you mean, why? To
Well,
commit suicide?
No, but you just said before he didn't want that to happen to him, so he got cyanide pills.
Yeah, so I'm literally in the middle of the story about how he's planning his own suicide. And you just sort of...
Interrupted.
And
Yeah, I have no idea what's coming up. So.
Ash was right.
Who's Ash?
Your friend Ash. He said that you digress.
Oh. Yeah, so thanks for listening, Ash, and constructive feedback. I'll be quiet. This is now a one-person podcast.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
No, I know, because it also doesn't work when someone just goes silent to the other person. You're also encouraging the sidetrack. Please carry on reading.
I kind of want to just go silent and stare at you.
I know, we did this last time, and I had to stop and edit it out.
You did edit it out.
Yeah.
April 30th. The remaining stronghold in the bunker estimate that they'll run out of ammunition by nightfall. Hitler starts saying his goodbyes in the bunker to all the people that are left in there. Not a whole lot of people. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Hitler and Ava retire to his personal study, and a few hours later, Hitler's valet Heinz Linge and an SS guard Otto Gunch, sorry if I'm butchering German pronunciation, enter the study and find the bodies of Hitler and Ava.
Okay.
Hitler had shot himself, and Ava was assumed to have died from cyanide. So now you know the relevance of tonight's cocktail.
Okay, so Hitler didn't die.
Yes, he
shot himself.
He shot himself.
He didn't die from cyanide.
No, because later tests on the body think that he first bit down a cyanide capsule and then shot himself.
Okay,
Hence why tonight's cocktail is a double whammy of cyanide and a bullet.
Maybe he just died from drinking this cocktail because it's horrific.
It's delightful. I like it the most of all these cocktails so far we've had.
Okay.
But if you want to,
Moon
you can...
landing cocktail is my favourite so far. I'll take another sip in a minute.
You know, you can just give me your cocktail and pour yourself some wine. That's fine.
I might grab a beer or something.
Fine. The all road.
Maybe not for the gentleman, this cocktail.
In accordance to the instructions Hitler had given the day before...
I'm going to sidetrack this by just explaining that pause was you giving me a nasty look for assuming this is a lady drink, I'm assuming?
It's not a lady drink, it's for hard bitches.
No, but why'd you give me the nasty look?
Bitumen.
Bitumen?
Bitumen. Which is like bitch gentleman.
Okay.
Can I carry on?
Yeah, sorry. Ash is right.
He was right.
Yeah.
In accordance to the instructions Hitler had given the day before, they carry the bodies outside, douse them with petrol, probably about 20 litres, if we go back to the first podcast. James Adninson, never mind, it was about 200, and set them alight. The rest of the remains were buried in a bomb crater, so they didn't do a very good job of burning them. Like, they didn't turn entirely to ash. It was like half-burned remains.
I don't know how flammable blood is into like wet organs kind of thing. Like, if you cover them in 20 litres or 200 litres, like, does it burn and then because the... is this related to the conspiracy? Or am I sidetracking?
No, it doesn't. You're sidetracking, but
okay.
That question I can answer somewhat.
Yeah.
It does depend on how fat you are. So
because fat burns better than
the fat works
else?
as an ignition.
Okay.
So if you're super fat, then you've got like a whole lot more fuel to burn.
Right.
Yeah.
Where I was going to go was, I assume, he didn't look like a chubby.
No.
And so I assume that once you kind of burn off the clothes and a bit of the skin and hair and stuff, you're left with quite a moist subject, which as the fuel kind of, depending on what you're in, unless you're in a bath of it, probably also spreads away a little bit, would burn off, not on the body, resulting in...
And maybe it was a soggy day in Berlin that day, who knows?
Maybe, that sounds like a soggy place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they bury the rest of the remains in a bomb crater. On the 1st of May, German broadcasters announced that Hitler is dead, having died heroically at the head of his troops in the midst of a battle.
Kim Jong-un style.
Very much so.
Except he's alive. Oh, God, that cocktail sucks. Oh. Yeah, I'm
It's
past the
delicious,
road.
and
Nah.
also you shouldn't insult Kim Jong-un. He invented the hamburger.
Did he?
No, but he's told his people that he did. That's not your thing. He told his people that he invented the hamburger.
Yeah, so I'm still
Or maybe it was
struggling
his
with
dad
the
that...
shockiness of that cocktail.
Maybe it was his dad that did that. Anyway, so old Hitler mate, he died heroically at the head of his troops in the midst of battle, and they announced his successor, Karl Donitz, shortly after. Joseph Stalin, you've heard of that name, I assume.
I've heard of Stalin. Yeah.
Cool.
Don't know who he is, but I've heard of him. I assume he's another general.
He was like head of the Soviets,
Okay.
but not Germany. He's not on Hitler's side.
Okay.
He's also kind of the Allied, but also he's part of the Allied technically. But there's like a whole lot of like tea and gossip that goes on. So he's
I've
not
also
really.
never ever
And then
done a
after
history
that,
class in my entire life. And when you say Allied,
so the people against Hitler.
so I thought Stalin was on Hitler's side.
No. Stalin's Russian, or is at that point.
No,
Yeah,
okay, no,
Russian.
sorry, no. I'm just getting my title's confused. Yeah, okay, no,
Were you confusing with Mussolini?
No. But no, I was thinking Stalin was German for some reason, not Russian. That was just personal patrickness, my mistake.
Okay, where was I? So Stalin, after hearing this, he wants absolute proof that Hitler is dead.
Mm-hmm.
So he sends in Smersh. I don't know if it's called Smersh. It might just be Smersh.
Is he blue? Is his entire family male and there's only one female?
It's a Smurf.
Yeah, I know. It's the joke I was making. Thanks for that.
Sorry. Obviously on the Patrick. This is the guy who doesn't know who Stalin is.
No, Smurf.
Anyway, Smersh. He sends in Smersh, who's a Soviet military counterintelligence unit, i.e. they hunted Nazi spies,
Cool.
to find the body. Smersh, because I'm just...
How's that spelled?
I just spelt it. Smersh. So the
I don't think you spelled it.
I did. Or unless you distracted me, in which case I didn't.
I distracted you. Oh, nice
So,
save.
Smersh.
S-M-E-R.
Smersh. Now, it is an acronym,
Yeah.
but the acronym is in some kind of Russian. So I don't know. I can't remember what the acronym itself stands for, but the meaning is death to spies.
Okay. Cool title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool title.
Yeah.
Smersh gets access to the Führer bunker on May the 2nd, and they find the remains in the bomb crater.
Why are you laughing at that?
Or just because I did the...
The quotation marks.
Yeah,
with
the
your fingers
quotation
again,
marks.
and we're
Yeah, the
on a
quotation
audio
marks.
Podcast.
They find the remains in the bomb crater.
Pause works. Carry on.
From here, things get a little fuzzy, but the general consensus is that the Soviets tracked down Hitler's dentist, Hugo Blaschke, to identify the body, as the remains were obviously a little bit too burnt and gross to identify. So Hugo had fled Germany at this point, but they did manage to find his assistant, Kath Hussmann, who they showed her the remains, and she said that they were Hitler's. They didn't do it in a bad, like, they were quite intelligent about it. They asked her to draw his teeth and describe them before they actually showed her the teeth, and then they showed her and then they matched with what Hitler's teeth looked like.
That's a really weird description to, like, I don't know if I could draw anyone's teeth.
No, but she was a...
Oh, this is a dentist, sorry.
Yeah, there was the dental technician.
Right, okay.
So it was kind of her job.
Okay, still, I wonder how often she checked those teeth.
A little bit tenuous, but also
Yeah.
if you're, like, doing the teeth of the most famous male nurse, you're probably paying attention.
Yeah, I guess so. And, like, maybe if, like, you know, you got a gap in the middle, or you got a tooth that's a bit gammy kind of thing, then that's not something that'd be hard to fluke guess, or
Like,
fluke draw. Like, you'd probably know it's something distinctive.
Do you reckon if, like, you saw my disembodied teeth, you better recognize them?
So that's what I was kind of meaning before. As soon as I said I don't think I could draw anyone's teeth, I was like, maybe yours, but I look at your mouth, not that we're in a relationship or anything.
We're not.
more than anyone else's.
So you could,
Mate.
if someone showed you a bunch of skulls, and one of them had my
bunch of
teeth. No, like disembodied, not disembodied, but like a skull with
burnt
no
corpses.
Yeah, no hair, no facial features, no skin, but just the teeth. You'd be able to recognise my teeth. I'd be able to recognise your teeth.
Maybe. I wonder if psychologically, though, there'd be a lot of other factors that would be quite distracting. Like, I wonder if, like, say, without hair and skin, your head looks a lot in a lot different shape.
Oh, but you'd be just looking at the teeth.
No, but a bit like, probably not going to see just teeth. Like, I imagine they're still attached to a jaw, and then...
Okay, well, how about you just took a photo of just the teeth? Disembodied teeth.
That's a good way of getting around it, yeah.
Yeah. I feel confident that I'd be able to recognise your teeth.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so.
And I've got quite distinctive teeth.
I can't, like, literally at the moment you're behind the microphone, so I can't see you through the microphone.
I've got like those fangs
okay.
that like go like that.
Yeah, it's from you sucking too much dick. I mean blood, though.
You're disgusting.
Call me out.
Disgusting. So anyway, back to the dental assistant. She said that those teeth were totes Hitler's.
Okay.
Because apparently...
In quote.
Well, no, I hadn't ended the... Well, it wasn't even a quote. I wasn't quoting. I was just saying shit. So apparently his teeth were quite distinctive, as he only had 5 of his own remaining teeth, and the rest were all false. And Kath or Kathy, because it's spelled like Kathe, so I'm not sure if it's like Kathy, Kath.
The dentist.
Yeah, the dental assistant.
Okay. Dental assistant.
Yeah, because I just said before, the actual dentists have fled.
Okay.
So the they'd managed to catch the dental assistant, Kath. We just call her Kath. And she identified the teeth as Hitler's. Ava's teeth were identified just by a gold bridge. So I think that just like 1 or 2 teeth of hers were found in like the bridge. And they said, yeah, it's totes Ava's teeth because there's a gold bridge in there. And they're like, yeah.
What's a bridge?
Oh, they said... I was like sticking my finger in my...
Explain it.
Yeah, that's I just realised I'm like sticking my finger in my mouth to show you. It's like a brace that goes at the back, and like there's like a frame at the roof of your mouth, I think. So it goes behind the teeth.
Does it pull your teeth together or something?
I think so, but I don't have one, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Should we ask Google?
No.
Okay. After that, the majority of the remains were buried in Magdeburg, Germany, until 1970, when the KGB ordered them to be exhumed again and then destroyed properly. They were burnt thoroughly this time, and then the ashes discarded in a river, with the exception of a piece of skull and a jawbone, which were preserved in Moscow.
Okay, so it still gives a little bit of DNA chance for the future. Okay.
Apparently. The results of the dental identification weren't released to the public until 1968. So, in the weeks preceding, the weeks immediately after the war, the Soviets who had access to the body didn't actually allow any of the other intelligence agencies to view them or test them or do anything with them.
Okay.
So in the weeks following the announcement of Hitler's death, Britain sent an intelligence officer, Hugh Trevor Roper, to corroborate that the reports are true of Hitler's demise. Because, like I said, there was no body, no photographs of his body, things like that.
Everyone wants proof.
Everyone wants proof.
Yeah.
For various reasons.
Yeah.
Things are a bit fuzzy in the aftermath of World War II. You can imagine, like, we don't have the internet. Like, communication is way slower. And I guess, like, rumours are slow to start, but then they pick up and are repeated as fact.
Well, also I'm going to guess that his death is quite the trophy. All countries are really wanting personal confirmation. Despite being allies, maybe there's a little bit of distrust, or maybe they are feeling the conspiracy side of things. Okay. Maybe, right.
So the West believe, well, they've been told that Hitler's dead, but Stalin was telling people publicly, and even like the US intelligence and Eisenhower at the time, that Hitler had survived and he'd fled along with Eva Braun, or then Eva Hitler, I suppose.
So Stalin's telling everyone this?
Yeah, Stalin told everyone this.
But didn't he just send his Smurf to check all that out?
Yeah, his smush. He did. But publicly, he's telling everyone.
Why would he say that without the confirmation yet? Because he wants to fuel more war? Another whole...
There are a few... Because technically he was part of the Allied, because he was against Hitler. But he also... But then after that, remember, it wasn't that long after the end of Second World War, that the Cold War started.
Right.
So they already had the tensions, but they were sort of united against Hitler. So Stalin had his own reasons.
Agenda. Yeah.
Agenda's the better word for it. He had his own agenda for trying to, I don't know, I guess so much like mistrust, and rumors, and just general. It just helped with whatever he was trying to plan.
No, high-end politics. Okay, yeah.
I don't understand because I'm too dumb.
Yeah, but you're pretty as babe, so.
I'm pretty and I've got nice boobies. So Stalin was telling
Confirmed.
people publicly that Hitler had survived and had fled along with Ava to either Spain or Argentina. So the West wants to find out if this is true or not.
Yeah.
Like, is Hitler dead? So in goes old Hugh, and he spent about 10 days there doing all these reports and interviews and stuff. He was actually denied access to any actual forensic evidence.
And sorry, just quickly, who was he representing again?
He was British.
Yeah.
But he was a representative of the General Allies, but more so the British.
Right,
He was British and the British sent him.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so he was part of the British Secret Service.
Yeah, and his name was Hugh. Yeah.
Yeah, Hugh Trevor Roper. So he goes in, he's denied all access to any forensic evidence. So he relies only on witness testimony. And some of these witnesses are actually in jail at this point in time. So
And still alive. Yeah.
So they're in jail, so he can't actually ask their statement because they're in jail. So he asks whoever he can.
So sorry, at the time of this, interviewing imprisoned people is not allowed?
I guess not, because they're Soviet prisoners.
Right, and I'm guessing in a Soviet
because the Soviets
jail,
were first on the
British,
scene.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so they are allies, but the Soviets didn't
probably
want...
was allowed, just not by him.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
So he stays for about 10 days, and he ultimately reported back that he believed Hitler to be dead. Just because there was no forensic evidence. So this is believed to be dead because it was all based on witness testimony.
As in, for the time, there was no forensic evidence?
He didn't actually see the body or any proof of the body. It's like no photos.
Or just to his
no
standards,
body.
There was no forensic...
He didn't see a body.
Yeah,
He didn't see photos. So he didn't see any hard evidence. This was purely witness evidence.
And from talking to people, word on the street kind of stuff, he believed.
Yeah. So apparently he interviewed people that were in the bunker and other people. There's no forensic evidence. But he said
But it's a nice little bit of fuel towards it actually being a conspiracy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I'm honestly, so far, if all I listen to is just what you've told me, 50-50. I'm sitting in the middle going, which way am I going to go? So, all right, carry on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he sends through his report back that he believes Hitler to be dead based on these reports.
Mm-hmm.
And the British accept it.
4 out of 10, sorry. Changing my score. Carry on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you change your score?
Just recollection of what you've told me is just catching up and I'm putting bits together, and it's like, no, I'm leaning more towards he is dead, but just.
Okay. So the British intelligence take old Hughes' report that he's dead, and a couple of years later, after some of the initial court cases have been done, he turns this into a book, The Last Days of Hitler, that was a massive hit back then.
Massive hit.
Yeah, Hitler. But just on him very briefly.
While you read that, I'm gonna grab a beer because I can't drink any more of this.
Okay.
You keep going.
Also wine there. So Hugh Mate was an academic who released many books over his lifetime. He was quite accomplished. He was a professor of modern history at Oxford, and of course, as we already discussed, he was in the Secret Service during World War II. So his most famous, the most famous aspect of him would be him going over and verifying that Hitler was actually dead and then releasing a book after it. But he also released many books on medieval history. It was his claim to fame. But he also wrote a lot of books on medieval history and shit.
Okay. So that was his thing.
That was his thing. However, in 1983, he got embroiled in a little bit of controversy because he authenticated the Hitler diaries. So he didn't write them, obviously. He was asked to authenticate what people thought were diaries written by Hitler, but they were quickly found out to be a hoax. So that's sort of like...
But he authenticated them.
He authenticated them.
Okay.
So this...
And then who said they were a hoax? Just the general masses?
quickly found to be a hoax based on like the paper used, the ink used, things like that.
Oh,
They were-
right, actual, okay.
Yeah, like an actual hoax, and he'd authenticated them. So he
Sorry, when did he authenticate them?
83.
And when were they hoaxed? Oh, shortly after.
Yeah, like this was very
So not recently, I mean. Like,
very quickly after they were found to be a hoax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that's more fuel for it being.
Just like I'm just saying, putting a little bit of context to Hugh.
Yeah, but when you do this, it swings my 4 out of 10 to more like a 2 out of 10. Like he enjoys a bit of conspiracy himself and a bit of drama because it sells well.
Or maybe
was he an author at the time when he went to Hitler?
He was.
Yeah. Okay.
Or I think that's probably doing him a disservice. I think if anything you take from that is like maybe he's easily duped.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
So it wasn't until 1968 that the Soviets released their information about the remains that they actually did have. So there was all this time.
And sorry, when did he die? What year?
Hitler?
Yep.
1945.
And it wasn't until 1968.
1968 that the Soviets released what information they did have.
Right.
The original report is limited by the fact that they were relying on accounts from actual Nazis. But after the report in 1968 was released from the Soviets, it looked a bit more likely that he had killed himself. So the Soviets in 1968 said, oh yeah, we totes like found his body and shit. We just didn't tell you before because of lols or whatever. I'm not sure how they worded it. That sounds like
because of lol. Oh,
because of lols.
Right.
Yeah, just for the
Sorry,
lols.
Yeah.
We're just gonna tell you that we didn't have Hitler, but then they actually did.
Well, maybe they were told not to, and they were
maybe
loyal at the time.
So it's at this point we don't know why they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get into evidence of a cover-up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, whoa! Already. So now we're into the.
I told you this will be shorter than last time.
Not on the podcast.
I know, but I told you that.
Yeah. But I am surprised. So sorry. This is getting into the. Why are you flinching as you're drinking that?
Because it tastes so good.
Do you actually like it?
Yeah, I like it.
Do you love the pain?
It's delicious. I love the pain.
So sorry. Now we're getting into the conspiracy fuel, not the conspiracies, but just the.
Yeah, we're starting to get edging.
Okay.
We're edging into the conspiracy.
Right.
Just dipping our toes in.
Yeah, just the tip.
Yeah, just the tip.
Yeah.
Just the tippiest tip of the conspiracy. So, evidence of a cover-up. The vast majority of evidence on either side is witness testimony as opposed to hard evidence. So either side basically says to the other side, all you've got is witness testimony, but that's all that either side has. Mm-hmm. Kind of. We'll get into that in a sec. So the exception to that is Hitler's remains, which we will get into very, very soon. Mm. So
I'll save questions about that till then.
Yeah, so we're going to get into, like, literally it's a couple of sentences away.
Right.
So, but before we do that, we'll go into some of the more interesting testimonies about Hitler's survival.
Testimonies about, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is an absolute mountain of absolute horrendous, just ridiculous shit that all sent to FBI. And I spent a lot of time this week trawling through them.
Just testimonies?
Yeah, sent to FBI that were later released, and some of them are ridiculous.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Are we going to have some ridiculous ones later on?
Yeah, I think I do go into some of them a bit later on.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But some of the better ones I found that claims that Hitler survived. So Otto Abetz, he was the German ambassador to Vichy, France during the war. Do you know what Vichy, France was?
No.
So a French state that collaborated with the Nazis, and they were independent from, I think, 41 to 45, so like an independent state of France.
Okay.
That was basically run by the Nazi state. So he was captured and arrested in October 1945, and he stated that Hitler had escaped to Argentina. He was arrested for 20 years for crimes against humanity, not the card game, but actual crimes against humanity.
That's Cards Against Humanity is the card game.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh, you're right. And he was released in 1954, but he died 4 years later in I'll give you one guess.
Prison?
No, he was released at this point.
Oh, okay. Car accident.
Yes, he was.
Boom.
Boom. Bingo.
Throwback. Yeah, I'm getting good at this.
Yeah. All the best witnesses die in a car accident. So the next witness is Pete.
Sorry, I've just realised also that the fridge is going. Because I stopped when it wasn't and I am now. I need you to... We need a bit of quiet before you start talking. So...
We're just going to wait for the fridge to stop.
No.
That could be ages.
I'm just not talking for like 4 seconds, okay? So, 6, 5...
Should I start from the top?
You can just say that line again.
Which line?
All the best witnesses die in a car accident.
Yeah, so that's what I said. Do I start from the top?
I don't know. We're from the top meant. Normally from the top's the very beginning of what we've been doing.
No, from the top of that scene.
6, 5...
So all the best witnesses die in a car accident. The next witness is Peter Baumgart. He's the Luftwaffe pilot. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that horrendously. And Peter Baumgart claims that he personally flew Hitler, Ava's sister, and another German general and his wife from Berlin to Magdeburg and then to Denmark, from where Hitler and his posse boarded a submarine.
And this is witness number 2.
Yep. This one.
How did he die?
Oh, I actually don't know.
Oh.
Nothing suspicious as far as I'm aware. I think he got arrested after that. So we're just going to quickly go through these witnesses. Like, we're not going to go deep dive into each of these.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll let you go for it. Go.
No, I'm just saying, like, these are all quite short.
Yeah.
The next one, Philip Citron. He was, well, no, not Philip Citron. Philip Citron, yes, but also not Philip Citron who was saying this. A CIA informant, codenamed Simelody S, sent a report to the US intelligence that he was in contact with a former SS agent called Simelody, who this agent, who was unnamed, considered a reliable informant. Philip Citron, who claimed to meet Hitler in Colombia, told Simelody 3 that he was in contact with this person who claimed to be Hitler, and Citron has said that he met Hitler on multiple occasions, and that the residents in this place in Colombia, like, this place was just full of Germans, and it's called, well, it's spelt Tunja, so I want to say Tunja, but I'm probably being like super white, it's probably like Tanya or something, I don't know. Tanya?
Yeah.
And these people there addressed him as Elder Führer and gave him Nazi salutes. A photograph of... Oh, that reminds you. Hang on a sec. I'll still try and talk. A photograph of Citron and Hitler was also provided, and I downloaded that to show you.
Oh, yeah.
So here you go, whilst I keep talking. Here's my phone. Now, apparently Hitler was going by Adolf Schuttelmeyer at this point.
And what am I meant to... Why are you showing me this picture?
So one of these people is meant to be Hitler.
No,
I think it's the person that looks very much like Hitler.
Yeah, but like...
No, you don't know that it's genuine. But this photo was provided with...
It's a horrific quality photo.
Yes, it was, but it was also sent by... oh, shit, what's that thing I did?
Text message telegram?
Yeah, telegram.
Morse code?
Not Morse code. It was even before fax. So it was like it was sent via wire or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, yeah,
it is black or white. There is no...
it's black or white.
There's black or white.
It's a shite quality. This photo was included in this report. So the dude on the left is supposedly Citron.
Yeah.
Citron.
Are you going to make this the cover photo for this episode?
Maybe.
Yeah.
And the person on the right is obviously Hitler. You can tell from his moustache.
So he's got a shadow underneath his nose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the file was released as part of the declassified documents that were released, I think it was the early 90s or early 2000s. So according to the report, it would take too much effort to follow up. So they just dropped it.
They being...
The CIA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because there's a weird clump... Because it's just a weird speculation from someone somewhere who knows.
Yes, but this was apparently a relatively reliable...
But not well known enough to follow it up.
Maybe not. We'll get into that.
Oh, I think you already said. Literally, isn't that the point we're talking about? They said it's not worth following up.
Oh yeah, we're saying maybe why they didn't follow it up is what I...
Fuel. Cool.
Hmm?
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, those three were the best that I found. So this was actually really hard.
As far as witness statements go.
As far as witness statements. So there were more. There were like lots more. But they were shit.
Just
to be honest,
crazy statements, or
not crazy. Not so much. I mean, there were a lot of crazy statements. So I went through a lot of the FBI files, and there's like a lot of just like dumb shit. Like, oh, I saw this person.
So sorry. When you say you go through the FBI files, this is.
Oh, so this is actually on the FBI declassified archives.
Okay, the FBI website.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So like genuine shit. So
not a Reddit link to someone
yeah, not
who's
like
got
a Reddit
access.
link to some dodgy stuff.
Yeah.
This is actually declassified. I think they had like 700 pages of shite released in the, like I said, I think the early 90s or early 2000s, and so much of it is just dross just to flip through, and it's shite. Like some of it is.
But if he is still alive, then they would.
Well, he's not going to be still alive now.
No, sorry. If he was still alive, and maybe the allies are trying to hide the fact that they didn't kill him, they would mostly just release fuel to hide the fact, wouldn't they?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
We'll soon find out.
Okay.
We'll soon find out.
Trying to build tension.
So those are the best ones I found, because they're all people that are actually like high up in the SS and etc. There are plenty of others. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to reference Hunting Hitler and Grey Wolf. So I'm assuming you don't know what those are.
Correct.
Yeah. So Hunting Hitler was, I think it was released on the History Channel.
Oh, these documentaries.
Yes.
You're right. Okay.
Yes. Hunting Hitler is a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Grey Wolf was released as a book and then turned into a feature-length documentary. But Hunting Hitler was like a seasonal. I think it like had 3 seasons possibly.
Right.
And it seems like
probably most likely really over dramatized.
It doesn't seem like a very good source reference, so I'm not going to use them.
Okay.
Having said that, some of the stuff I say is
also in there,
referenced
but not where
by
you got your
them,
information
but
from.
I don't want to reference them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the some of the testimonies that I can only track back to those sources include like a Catalina Gomero, who was apparently a housemaid for the Eichhorn family. Eichhorn? Eichhorn, Eichhorn, I guess, family at the Hotel Eden in Argentina. Apparently she waited on Hitler, and that he was close friends with the Eichhorns and continued to telephone right up until 1962. Again, I'm not putting anything to this because this is from those sources, and another source of theirs, which again very tenuous, so we're not going to go much into it. Hernan Anchin, who was a carpenter working for Ante Pavelic. So Ante Pavelic was a high-level Nazi who did genuinely actually escape to Argentina. That much is true. But Hernan Anchin, he claims that he was his carpenter and that he saw Hitler visit on a number of occasions.
Is the fact that he's even as a carpenter a fact, or
the fact that he's a carpenter is a fact?
His carpenter?
No, that's not.
Okay, right. So
fact.
hence why we're going massive handfuls.
So
of
this is why I'm not using this as, because this is all stuff that was used by those people, and I'm not using them as a good reference.
Not solid enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're taking all that with a very large pinch of salt. There are a heap more sightings in the declassified files, like I said, like 700 pages. Some saying Hitler was anywhere from Japan to the US to Switzerland to South America, but I couldn't be bothered trawling through all of them because it was just madness. Like some of them were literally just like, I totally saw Hitler in this restaurant in New York, yo.
Right, like Elvis.
Yeah, exactly like Elvis.
Oh, is he a conspiracy coming up?
No, not in mine, sorry.
Not in season 1.
No. I mean, maybe at some point, but no, not.
But like Elvis, yeah.
Yeah, like Elvis. So there's all these. In fact, I think they actually reference Elvis in saying that they think that Hitler is the only person that surpasses Elvis sightings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hitler surpasses Elvis sightings. Maybe him and Princess Diana are hanging out in that spot.
Oh, well, if you remember from the first podcast, Diana is actually up there with Jackie Onassis ruling over all of us.
Yeah, and Michelle Obama.
Yeah, well, she's not dead yet.
No, but soon to join them.
soon to join them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is that our conspiracy? No, that is our conspiracy.
I think
Michelle
it
Obama's
is.
my
So,
touch, but that's it.
If she ever gets like assassinated, you'll.
I knew it. I knew it.
Oh, I was going to say someone's going to come knocking your door.
Yeah, all that. Yeah. Yeah.
Not me, someone else.
No.
Yeah. So we'll go back on to Hitler's remains. Oh, and Ava's. Hitler and Ava's remains.
Yeah.
So as we discussed, the remains were burned, buried, dug up, buried elsewhere, dug up again, burnt again, and then the ashes finally dumped in a river.
But at some point throughout that, the skull and jaw were removed.
Yes, so the skull and jaw had been kept.
Right.
So they did all this
Still kept? Are they still public records somewhere?
They're still around, but
Yeah.
they're in the Soviet keep, so not public as such.
So, bloody Putin knows for a fact.
Well, he might do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There's
So-
the reason behind the Ukraine war right there.
Oh, maybe.
Hitler.
Heard it here first. So apparently the remains were dumped. All this happened to avoid Hitler's grave becoming a shrine to neo-Nazis, which understandable, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
From a Western perspective, very understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the exception of a piece of skull and some jawbone, and possibly a couple of teeth assumed to be Ava's. So it wasn't until 2009, 2009, that wasn't even that long ago. Like, I was born then. I was not even nearly born when Hitler's around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that wasn't that long ago. So 2009, the Soviets finally allowed the skull to be examined by American researchers. Just a skull.
Cool,
Just a skull.
Yeah, it's good enough. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So DNA was extracted from the skull, and the researchers found that it actually belonged to a woman. And
From Hitler's skull.
yeah. And also,
This is fact?
this is fact.
Okay.
Yeah, this is fact. So the skull, because they just dug up there's a lot of dead bodies around. So they dug up a bunch of stuff. They assumed it to be Hitler's because at that point it was still attached to a burnt body. So they thought it was Hitler's.
Yeah.
So the skull, or the piece of skull, actually belonged to a woman, according to DNA evidence. That is public knowledge. And it could be Ava's. But if the accepted facts of her death are true, then unlikely because the skull has a bullet hole through it. And according to the witness testimonies,
Hitler's the one with the bullet hole.
yeah, and Ava killed herself with the cyanide and didn't have a bullet hole. So
Okay.
this piece of skull has a bullet hole through it. So they all seem to just be Hitler's because everyone was saying that he killed himself with cyanide and then bullet. But this doesn't fit for either because it's a woman's skull and apparently Ava did the old cyanide. So whose skull was it? Or maybe she was shot. Who knows? But it wasn't Hitler's.
Okay, but this is the one that the Soviets gave to the Allies to
Research, yeah.
research.
Yeah.
So maybe they still have Hitler's one.
Well, I mean, maybe, but I mean...
Unlikely.
I don't think...
Okay.
I think they're probably as surprised as the results as anyone else.
Right. Yeah, I'd be more inclined to believe that as well. Yeah. Okay.
So they don't think it's Hitler's because there's a woman, and they don't think it's Ava's because there's no bullet hole. So that was 2009. Then
the Ava's because there is a bullet hole.
Because they don't think it's Ava's because there is a bullet hole. Yeah. So that was 2009, and then we skip to 2017, where French researchers were allowed access to the jawbone. So the Americans weren't allowed access to jawbone.
Yeah.
So by comparing that to X-rays from Hitler's dentist, they concluded that the teeth were in fact Hitler's.
So the jaw was Hitler's.
That's what they think, based on X-ray evidence.
Okay.
But the Soviets did not allow any DNA testing of the jawbone.
Okay.
And so far, and that was in 2017, so far in the entire history of them having it, they haven't allowed any DNA testing of the jawbone.
Oh.
Now, apparently, like I said before, Hitler's teeth were relatively distinct. And the French researchers were referring back to X-rays taken by Hitler's dentist, obviously before he died, to refer back to and say, yeah, these are totes Hitler's teeth. But there's no actual DNA evidence because the Soviets didn't allow DNA evidence on the jaw.
Okay.
So that is...
So Russia's quite tied up in this. Well, the Soviets are quite tied up in this.
They seem to be.
Yeah.
And there, apart from comparing it to some X-rays, that is the most forensic evidence we have of Hitler's death.
So it's a little bit of a to be continued.
A little bit. I mean, yeah, we're about halfway through. So that's cool.
No, sorry. I mean, like, until most of the world gets sick of Russia attacking other places, yeah, we'll never get access to that and get DNA evidence to find out, unless Russia decide to give it up.
They might do. So how would Hitler have escaped?
Well, you kind of touched on some theories, but yeah, carry on. Yep.
So we'll go through these theories now.
Yep.
So the main, I think, and the best theory as to his escape, if he did escape.
Oh, the best one. You're not going to save that till last?
No, because
Okay.
this is also the most mainstream one, because
Okay.
it is actually factual. Not about Hitler's escape, but about... I'll just get into it and explain as I go, shall I?
Yeah, go on.
So, rat lines. Have you heard of them?
No.
All right. So these, and rat lines themselves are actual, genuine, in history books, they actually existed. Rat lines were escape routes for Nazis fleeing Germany.
Oh, okay. No, I
Yeah.
do know what a rat line is.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So the most plausible theory of him being able to escape is by making use of these rat lines. So most of these rat lines were passages from Germany to South America, but also the US and Switzerland. So they were facilitated by Nazi sympathizers, including members of the Vatican. Again, public knowledge at this point, not so much back then. Politicians and higher-ups. And they would grant them, these Nazis, they would grant them asylum. They provide safe passage and also even give them things like fake identities and passports. And also launder money on occasion and help launder stolen loot. So there were numerous suggestions that, and also tips in the FBI file saying that Hitler had made use of these rat lines, which were an actual thing. They were in existence.
Right, but does that say that he used them after a certain date, or just that he had used them?
Well, they're saying that he used them after his apparent suicide. So,
Okay.
notable...
In the FBI files.
Yeah, just people saying...
In the FBI testimonies that there's
Yeah.
a massive pile of shit of them. Okay, right.
Massive pile of shit.
Right.
But on that, just on the massive pile of shit that's in the FBI testimonies that were released, these are only the things that got released.
Yeah.
So there's undoubtedly a whole
Have
lot
they
more.
stated that there is stuff they haven't released, or
No.
no? I'm
They
happy.
wouldn't.
I'm very happy to assume that there is stuff that is not released.
Oh, massively. Like,
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
even
believe
if you
that.
don't believe that Hitler lived, and I'm not sure if I do or not. In fact, I'm probably leaning on the not. But I still also think that regardless of the conspiracy itself or whatever, the FBI has heaps of shit they're not releasing.
Yeah,
heaps and heaps.
Understandable. Yeah.
Like this stuff,
Yeah.
this stuff was released, I think, in the late 90s. So some notable escapees using the rat lines included Joseph Mengele. Have you heard of him?
I have not heard of him.
And Ante Pavelic.
Auntie, what?
Ante,
Ante.
yeah. Among many other high-ranking Nazis. So if the rumours of Hitler flying from Berlin to board a submarine were true, because apparently that's what happened.
So that is the main.
Oh no, it's
this
one
is
of
number
them.
two.
It's
Right,
one of them.
right, yeah.
So apparently he used a rat line to escape, and then took a flight from Berlin and then to board a submarine eventually using these rat lines.
Okay.
So
okay.
just basically making use of safe
But
passages.
the title of his collective passage is The Rat Lines.
Yeah, so the rat lines were... Well, they're not actually... Because the rat lines make it sound like it's like a tunnel system. It's
No,
not.
that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
the title of how he
Yeah.
escaped. Yeah.
So rat lines were actually mainly just a way of accessing safe houses and fake identities and things like that.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of safe routes available on the rat lines, but it's not like a series of tunnels or something like that. It's just like a way that they would utilize to be able to get elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So if the rumors of Hitler flying from Berlin to board a submarine are true, his most likely destination would be Argentina. Have you heard of the theory that Hitler fled to Argentina?
No, I thought you were about to ask me if I've heard of Argentina, but yeah, I
Have
haven't. No, I
have
heard
you heard
no
of-
theory. No.
Have you heard of Argentina?
No, seriously, I didn't know him
But
being
have
alive
you-
was a conspiracy. And yes, I've heard of Argentina.
I was just checking. All right, so the reason why it would be Argentina,
It's
the
like 10 minutes down the road.
the president of Argentina at that point in time, Juan Perón, was a Nazi sympathizer. He was married to Eva Perón. I don't know if you. So
I'm shaking my head.
yeah, I can see that. Do you remember in like was it
podcast
late 80s or early 90s when Madonna played Eva Perón in that film Evita?
No.
There's a real famous song that came from "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina."
Oh, yeah.
That was from that movie.
Okay.
So that was about this broad.
Right.
Yeah. So those peoples were Nazi sympathizers, and they were giving Nazis asylum. Like, but even before the end of World War II, Nazis were there's like a huge German sort of population
I would
there.
really enjoy having a conversation with a Nazi sympathizer, someone who's logical and open-minded and not just angry and nuts. Just to try and understand that, because it really seems so left field of what I could consider. That's a different topic.
Well, I think Nazi sympathizer in the late 40s, early 50s, or even the late anywhere from the 30s to the early 50s is different from Nazi sympathizer today.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know, someone really old and racist, not just young and racist.
I can introduce you to many.
I just described every old person
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
And there goes all old people. That's what you said to me last podcast.
As in,
Yeah.
all geriatric sponsorships.
Yeah.
Now dead. That wasn't going to last long anyway.
Oh dear. So these fuckers were Nazi sympathizers, and they were taking in Nazis after the war, but also there was a huge German population before the war, and the Germans were buying big old tracts of land and shit. So after the German surrender, 2 U-boats did actually make it to Argentina, and this is actual fact.
Yeah, but it could have been anybody, but okay.
Well, there was 2 German U-boats. So the first German U-boat was German U-boat U-530.
That means nothing to me.
It means nothing to you. No, it's just an identifier.
Okay.
So on July 10th, 1945, so like that long after Hitler did the old unalived himself.
Sorry, recap me again. When did he die?
So it was like, was it April? It was end of April. So that's like 6 weeks.
So there's 6 weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On July the 10th, and then a little bit after that, U-boat U-977 on August 17th, 1945. They both turned up in Argentina, and they surrendered to the Argentinian forces. So the captain of U-boat U-530, the first one, he said that he carried no civilian passengers or prisoner of wars, but he also did destroy the logbooks and also refused to answer questions about specific routes taken. So that was because that was like 6 weeks between him leaving Germany or the Europe mainland and arriving in Argentina, and that is actual fact. That's not conspiracy. That is actual public record.
Okay.
actually-
But it also could have been any form of dodginess or...
Yeah, or he could have just been like, "Oh, I'm just getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Let's go to the first place that's friendly."
Maybe he just destroyed his logbooks because it kept record of all the dodgy shit he did under the Nazi regime.
Well, we'll never know.
Yeah.
But the fact that he turned up there is actual fact.
Yeah.
And then the second one, again, that is actual fact, public record. The U-977, captained by Lieutenant Hans Schaffer, that one. And he also said that he was carrying only crew, but that one didn't actually destroy his logbooks or anything like that. So,
Yeah, but he also maybe didn't fill out his logbook to say Hitler was on board.
yeah.
Yeah.
But those 2 U-boats, which are submarines, turned up in Argentina in the months following Hitler's death.
Right.
And those are just the ones we know about. So it could possibly be
No
others.
civilian passengers. Sorry, did they say?
That's what they
first one?
claim. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
but
both of them claimed they
does
had no
Hitler
civilian
qualify
passengers.
as a civilian?
Well, I guess in this case,
If they're telling the truth.
yeah, anyone that's not crew would be civilian. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay.
But either way,
Yeah.
they didn't say, yeah, Hitler was totes on board, bro.
Yeah. I get the point, yeah.
So it's well documented that Argentina was the destination for Nazis.
Okay, I didn't know that.
No, you wouldn't. because there was already a well-established German population there that happened decades before the war. There was a whole shit bunch ton of Germans there.
A shit bunch ton.
A shit bunch ton of, it's a German phraseology, I don't expect you to know. There's like a lot of Germans there.
Yeah.
But also the president has already said, like, he was a Nazi sympathizer. He really liked the regime. He agreed with it. So once there, the Nazis already had a community to assimilate into, and also they were safe because all the higher ups were Nazi sympathizers. They liked the shit that the Nazis were doing.
Okay, right.
So they were safe from facing their crimes if they managed to get to Argentina. So according to actual historical records, as many as 5,000 Nazi war criminals may have escaped to Argentina after the war.
Okay, that's
quite a lot. So, and that's just Argentina. Like, also other places in South America and the Soviet Union also had their own share of war criminals. But Argentina was like the biggest, what do you call it? The biggest mecca.
Safe haven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For war criminals. An interesting side note, in 1960, Adolf Eichmann, who was a Nazi higher-up who had helped plan the whole final solution thing, he was found partly by chance when his son started dating a young woman, and she figured out who her boyfriend's dad was, and she wrote a letter to her father, being all like, Dad, I think this dude's dad that I'm dating is actually this real bad dude. And so her dad, he sent his daughter on, her name was Sylvia, by the way, like, God bless you, Sylvia, you're doing the God's work. He sent her on a fact-finding mission, and once they were actually confident that it was Eichmann, so this was like a Nazi war criminal that people were hunting, and he had been living pretty much in general, just not in the public eye, and then his son started boning this girl, and she's like,
no, I
you're
understand.
sus.
Yeah.
So once they were confident that it was actually Eichmann, they tipped off Mossad, which is Israel's secret service, because they didn't trust the German authorities to do the right thing. And then Mossad spied on Eichmann for a few weeks. So Mossad was like, yeah, we take this seriously. They came over, they spied on him for a few weeks, and then they kidnapped him on his way home from work and took him to Jerusalem, where he stood trial and was hanged in 1962. So it was like a whole like dramatic, like could be like an action movie type of thing.
Yeah.
Like spied on him, like they had this letter, and then they spied on him, and like this dude is totally that motherfucker. Kidnapped him and then hanged him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a side note. So back to Hitler, sorry. So let's pretend that he escaped to Argentina. We'll just pretend. Yeah. So how would the most famous man in the world go unnoticed and unhunted? Scores of escaped Nazi criminals eventually face their crimes in court. Although, to be honest, not a lot from Argentina, to be fair. Even Joseph Mengele was one of the more famous and hunted Nazis. Like, he was up there with Hitler. He was, like, pretty fucking famous. He was called the Angel of Death, and he was known for doing horrific experiments, like human experiments and stuff. And he evaded capture until he actually died from a stroke while swimming. I think it was, like, 1979 or the late 70s at least. So it wasn't until he died that people were like, oh, this guy is totes Joseph Mengele.
Okay.
So he just like went loose for all that time.
Just to jump on to try and swing the other way a little bit. Horrific experiments and stuff. Like, I don't know, we'll just go face swapping. And the reason he was also really good at hiding. And clearly there's some good fuel or evidence of how long it took them to find some of these higher ups that German higher up are good at hiding.
This isn't Face Swap, the movie.
No, I know. But
No, this wasn't Face. It was Face Off, wasn't it?
Face Off.
Yeah,
but in
Nicolas,
Face Off they
Nicolas
had face
Cage.
swap.
Who's the other dude? Nicolas Cage and
John Travolta, was it?
Yeah, that's a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you sidetracked my speculation.
Sorry, I sidetracked your sidetrack.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a sidetrack. I'm giving fuel to the fact that Nazis have, like, history has kind of proved that they're pretty good at hiding.
Are you saying that Hitler was on a mad Botox?
No, I'm just talking about hiding.
Are you saying that Joseph Mengele was on a mad Botox? Like maybe some lip fillers? Doing the old duck face?
No, I'm saying they're good at hiding like rats in a hole.
Okay.
Carry on.
Yes.
Yes.
They were probably good at hiding. So, let's pretend that Hitler actually... So, Just pretend. Like that we know for
I
sure.
don't have to pretend. I'm keeping an open mind.
He escaped to Argentina.
Yeah.
How would the most famous man in the world go unnoticed and unhunted from the Allies? So...
Are you asking me the question?
I mean...
Or is that rhetorical?
It was rhetorical, but now you say that, I'm like, yeah, because you're a layman and you have no fucking idea.
So let's...
Give me a theory.
No, I have some idea. Thank you very much. But I like let's rule out some of the obvious. Say haircuts, a little bit of a passable name change. I think there might be a little bit of authority that it would be tricky to, like, say if he's got servants, he's probably quite used to having servants, and he probably treats them quite in that similar kind of way, which would be hard to forget to stop the habit of. Why are you frowning at me?
I'm not. I'm just keeping pace with what you're saying.
You were definitely frowning.
Nope, that was just my concentrating pace.
Okay. So he's done a haircut. He's...
Did he shave his moustache?
Yeah, sure. And like he's done a little bit of fake tan, and he's changed his clothes, and he's going by a different surname.
He's Trump. Sorry, it's just a fake tan. Maybe assume it. Maybe he's Trump.
Yeah, maybe he's gone full ginger. And he's just lying low for a long time. Like he understands he is Hitler, the most hunted, wanted. I don't know. I'm assuming he's the most wanted man in the world at the time, if he's alive. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure everyone would love to capture him. But so, like all that. So, I'm going to say if he's the most wanted man, I assume that would give him quite a bit of fuel to stay hiding out of sight, very low, with a very selective bunch of servants, which he'll quite happily just
but this
bullet
is
to
the
the head kind of thing.
Most hunted man in the world, apparently.
Yeah, and he's living in a mansion underground, we'll say.
I mean, people like keep talking about Elvis all these years later and stuff like.
No, but it probably only takes a couple of years before a lot of the people in a small area stop kind of looking, and he can start walking around his garden a little bit. He goes...
I don't know
grey. He's
if you were trying to disappear,
yeah,
what would you do? Go to like a real small town where everyone knows
and
each
I
other,
had Hitler levels of money,
and also everyone knows your fucking face because your
so
face is
I
at
can tell you what I'd do.
No, hang on. Let me finish your question.
Yeah.
Would you go to like a small town in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
Or would you go somewhere like New York where there's so many people that you just assimilate into them?
I don't know what border crossings were like at that. Oh,
Hitler's crossings. We're talking about
no, but he had to cross borders. So sorry,
yeah,
but
back to I'm talking about Hitler's in the community. Yeah, they've got Hitler levels of money. Also, remember this is the late 40s.
I would go to the easiest country, an easy country to get to that was sympathetic with my beliefs, cause, and I would live underground for as long as possible in a very
literally underground.
Are you gonna let me finish?
I'm just asking to clarify.
Yeah,
do you mean literally
underground. I don't mean dirt, but I mean in a very nice place underground.
No, because underground can mean two things.
Stop interrupting me. Let me finish.
Am I getting a growling?
Yeah, you're getting a growling.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, this is what it feels like when I constantly interrupt you. I would live in a very nice place underground in a very walled off bit of land.
Why wouldn't you be walled off if it's underground?
So when I finally decided to come back above ground and get some sunshine, I was a lower chance of being observed, and I think I could get away with that for quite a while. And I'd have a fake owner of the house, that like a facade of a person to run the establishment.
I've decided that you'd make a terrible Hitler.
How would you hide?
I will probably do the opposite and go into like a very crowded place.
Where? Tell me where you're going to go.
I mean, I think New York's a good one.
Boom, you're caught at the border, you're fucked.
Oh, I will be now.
No, go through details. How do you can't just say, boom, I'm in a big public place. How do you do it?
This is not...
I went to a small little place in nowhere. Like, it's easy for me to do that. No one asked for an explanation.
Where they don't have, like, a digital checking of your passport and shit. You just have to present some papers.
So you just walk in?
You just walk in, yeah.
So you land on the beach and walk into New York?
Totes. People do it all the time from Mexico. Even now. So...
And how do you...
And if they're turning a blind eye...
I'm going to have to ask questions because you've just left so much unanswered. Oh, man, we're sidetracking. I assume you're borrowing my idea of having a facade, a front person to organise and do everything for you.
I mean, you turn up with a false identity. But my only point to that was that you wouldn't go to a small place, you'd go to a large place, because small places elicit conversation. Like, you ever moved to a small town? Everyone knows, like...
So if you had to hire right now, would you go right to the middle of Russia or Korea?
Well, maybe Korea, because
Really?
it's, like, crowded.
You're not worried about being a majority white person there?
Okay,
in a
you
place
mean
that
not
would
Korea.
No,
So
once again,
okay.
he's German,
Yeah, he's German.
and in not a lot of places you can create an underground bunker, so you're living around other people.
Yeah, but you go to New York and you're just another white dude.
Yeah, but if you want to talk to anybody, you're probably the only German there.
You're not the only German in New York in the 1940s.
But this
Come on.
time we're around a war kind of thing, and everyone's wondering about
Yeah,
Hitler
there's
and talking about it.
Bitch ton of Germans.
Yeah, but my
In America
point is,
and
I
especially
think
in New
people will
York at
still
this
be
point in
asking.
time.
I think New York, in a very Ally-controlled country, is just too many risks.
I think that you're a little bit talking at your ass here.
No, I
But
think you're better
I
off to go
appreciate-
to a neutral or a sympathetic country,
But
and,
he's a
and then
different-
follow that path. I think New York's
Okay,
a
but he's
terrible
also
idea.
like in Argentina. He's much more of a foreigner. Like,
No,
okay, well, can we go back to the argument in a bit?
Yeah, sure.
Like, we'll start fighting again in a bit.
You promise?
I promise.
Okay.
Where was I? Where the fuck was I? So yeah, we pretended that he has escaped to Argentina.
Yep.
And why would the Allied intelligence not follow up on all these rumors that were submitted to them that he was?
Is Argentina an allied country?
No.
Oh man, good reason to move there.
Yes, I know it was.
That makes it tricky to follow up on. We're not allowed into the country. Just saying.
For fuck's sake. So, I never argued that Argentina is not a good place to go to. I'm just saying, if you're going to... Never... Shush.
But just saying, how much easier would it be to follow up on that if you could kick down
Ship.
the door because it's your country?
You got entirely distracted me again. So this... So there were all these sightings and rumours of seeing Hitler in Argentina. So why would the Allied intelligence not follow up all these sightings and rumours? Please.
I'm not saying anything.
It
Yep.
feels like you're about to.
Yep.
Especially at that point, the Soviets hadn't actually admitted to having his body. So at this point, no one actually knew that he was dead for sure. Like, this was this was pre-68, back way before the Soviets admitted they had his jawbone and his skull and all that. It was just like hearsay. No one knew for sure.
Okay, so most of the, or say majority of the Allies believe he is dead.
They believe he's dead based on the report of Trevor Roper, Hugh Trevor Roper, sorry, who never actually saw a body.
And to be honest, I can imagine they would want to believe that he's dead.
Very much
The
so.
war has stopped. It could, like an obvious, just a nice little bit of Allied pride that he's also dead, and cool, that's a fact. Like, how dare you question victory?
Yeah, and even just for, not public safety, what's the term I'm looking for? Just like for the sake of stopping the war, they'd want people to believe that he was dead. So
Yeah, because also sympathisers wouldn't want word getting out that there's hope for the cause, if you know what I mean.
yeah, absolutely, definitely, I agree 100%.
Okay.
So Allied intelligence did not know for certain because, for a start, none of their own intelligence personnel had seen a body, but also there'd been no photos of Hitler's body or Eva's body, even though there were photos of other bodies recovered at the bunker, such as famously the Joseph Goebbels. Have you heard of him?
Goebel.
Yep. And his wife and his children. So him and his wife, they killed the children. I think there was 6 of them.
I can understand that. Kids are a pain.
Yeah, they are. From between the ages of like
Unless
4
your
to...
name's Everly or Oscar or Max or Kai.
And
I haven't met Kai much.
and the one yet to be named because she hasn't been born yet. Kate's one.
We're talking about Caitlin's kid here.
Yeah.
The 12-year-old sister.
She's not actually 12,
But she is pregnant.
but she looks 12.
No, she doesn't.
Okay, she doesn't.
It's just the burn.
So back to the
She's our
horrificness
favourite
of
listener. Sorry. Sidetracking. Carry on.
back to the
Rude of me to
horrificness of the Goebbels killing their own children from between the ages of like 4 and 10. That's like killing Everly.
Not a fan of that.
No, that's horrifying. They killed themselves in the bunker. But my point was that their bodies were found and photographed after that. And about the same time as they found Hitler and Ava's body, apparently. Hitler and Ava's body
but
were
were these
photographed.
bodies burnt to a crisp?
All of them were.
All the kids were?
Yeah, all of them were.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually, I don't think you'd want to see, but I've seen them this week, photographs of the Goebbels bodies,
Yeah.
You can see them. The manner
Yeah,
of...
but for all we know, they're a burnt body.
Yes, you can't actually tell... I mean, I don't actually know what Joseph Goebbels looked like.
No.
But there's those... Those were taken, and the photographs were taken for the official autopsy, so that's still a matter of public record. There's no such photos taken of what was assumed to have been Hitler and Ava's body.
But this is also because the Russians got in there.
Yeah, but it was the Russians that found the Goebbels body.
Oh, okay.
Bodies.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, cool. So, right.
So I'm just saying, like, their bodies were found and photographed. Hitler and Ava's body were found, but not photographed for whatever reason.
All photographs were destroyed.
All photographs were destroyed.
Right. Yeah.
So why would people want to hide the fact that Hitler might have lived? Like, honestly,
I think there's some reasons, yeah.
both sides probably would have wanted that. So as we discussed, like, the Allies would have been pretty keen, even if he wasn't actually dead, but there was no sign of him, they'd have been pretty keen to spread the myth of his death because, well, I mean,
whether
like,
he's dead
for
or
heaps
not,
of reasons.
it's like if it starts to seem like it's public knowledge, then all sympathisers decease their patriotism towards it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it kills the war.
Yeah, and like Hitler's followers, you have to appreciate, were like super devoted.
Yeah.
Like,
once
super
again,
devoted.
like it forces all the followers to go into hiding instead of into action. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not
So
just
good
like
reason to hide his death. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then and then sympathisers because they've been defeated and they want them to hide and
regroup. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm
yeah.
pleased that you're on that page being a Patrick because you immediately get that, so that's cool.
Open-minded logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense from both sides, like to hide the fact that he's alive at this point. So obviously the Allies would want to keep him dead. The Nazis would wanted him to be dead for a little while and then maybe regroup at some point.
Because they lost the war. Yeah.
Yeah, at some point, just to regroup in a place that's safe.
Yeah.
So the British and Americans, mainly when I refer to Allies, would have wanted the Nazis to be ready to surrender as the war stops. But obviously Hitler's followers were so devoted to Hitler that the thought of him escaping and regrouping would have been enough to prolong the war.
Do you know if there were any false, like while he was alive, speculation of him dying?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
On that, sort of like somewhat related, it does look, it's never officially confirmed, but it does look like he did actually have like body doubles because he's very paranoid.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a more sinister reason that the Allies may have been alright with turning a blind eye to Hitler escaping was to do with Operation Paperclip. Have you heard of Operation Paperclip?
I have not.
Okay.
Seen its Windows program.
This is not, that's the save button.
No, you know the little paperclip for Windows XP that used to pop up and ask if you can help?
Oh no, it's not the save button. Yeah, that's a little...
That's the attachment button on
And
email.
he's got like the little eyes.
Yeah.
No, it's nothing to
Oh, okay.
do with that.
Bill
So
Gates is Hitler.
possibly.
Has that come up? Have I predicted it?
No, you haven't.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Someone else might be Hitler,
Oh, yeah.
but we'll get to
Donald
that.
Trump, you already brought that up.
It's not Trump.
Okay.
It's not Trump. So, Operation Paperclip, this is a real thing. Operation Paperclip was a secret government program organized by US intelligence to recruit Nazi engineers, scientists, doctors, etc. for their brains and experience
Oh, yeah.
at the end of
All
World War.
movies prove this to be true.
Yeah, and it is actually very much true.
Yeah,
It's like
okay,
general
yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the time, it wasn't so much general knowledge, but it is now.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
no, because they accomplished a lot. The Nazis did, and so clearly there were a lot of brains behind there, and so, I mean, they weren't the ones pulling the triggers, but they were just fighting for the wrong cause. But you can't deny there were brains there.
yeah, definitely.
And so I understand recruiting them to twist that knowledge for good rather than put it in the ground, despite what you might believe. But okay.
So if it wasn't for one of these engineers that was recruited via Operation Paperclip, Werner von Braun was his name, we might not have even made it to the moon when we did.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Cool.
Operation Paperclip, they recruited a whole bunch of the people that we went through, like engineers, scientists, blah, blah, blah. So Werner von Braun, his work with rockets, particularly the V2 rocket, was instrumental in getting us, well, when I say us, I say as if I'm American, which I'm not, sort of like half Kiwi, half
Aren't
English,
you?
like not even a little bit American. So he was instrumental in getting the Americans to the moon when they did. He was appointed technical director of the American Lunar Program in 1961.
Mm-hmm.
And also Hubertus Stroghold, again, probably like totally butchering that pronunciation. He helped design the pressure suit and the onboard life support systems. He was known as the father of space medicine. He was appointed the chief scientist of NASA in the Aerospace Medical Division, and there was an award named after him, which was awarded yearly from 1963 into 2013 for outstanding contributions to space-related medical research.
And sorry, the name of the award is...
It was named after him. Hubertus Strog.
Something, the butchered name.
Yeah, the butchered name. It was only retired after 2013 when, there was basically a Wall Street Journal article which went into his background, his Nazi background.
And put a bit of shame on the award.
Put a bit of shame on him, and they particularly went on about his involvement with human experiments. So,
I'm doing the cringe face.
Yeah, he was doing a cringe face. Not the best dude.
No, I'm doing a cringe face as like you pointed that out. Right.
But these, I mean, I already said it, but just to hammer home the point, these aren't random Nazis who escaped and then made themselves secret identities and went on to be they were recruited specifically because of their brains and experience. Like,
full well known they were Nazis,
The US recruited them specifically. So the US knew that these guys had these suspect backgrounds. They recruited them anyway.
Right.
So they knowingly took on these people. So one could, because remember this is on the subheading, like, why would people just ignore Hitler's existence? So the US didn't want to lose these people to a Fourth Reich. Mm-hmm. And also they may not have wanted to be, or these people may not have wanted to be so compliant if they thought that Hitler was still alive, because they might have just like bandied around him instead.
Or been a little sabotagial.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Or on the contrary, if the US went and found Hitler like after the fact, like if he had escaped the bunker and they went and found him after the fact, it probably wouldn't have done much for company morale if they went and killed their hero.
Yeah.
So the US had a few reasons to be like, yeah, Hitler totally died when we said he died. Mainly at the start of the end of the war, to make the fighting stop.
Yep.
And then after that, Operation Paperclip was like fully in effect. And it is a really interesting, like, it's not a conspiracy, so I'm not going to make a podcast about it. But Operation Paperclip is a really interesting thing to look into if you've got the time. Like, it's like so many Nazi war criminals who were taken to the US, and also other countries had like an equivalent. Like the Soviets also had their own program recruiting ex-Nazis and stuff. Really interesting how like the top minds of Nazism, if that's a word, got recruited to all these different countries after the war because they're just so fucking intelligent.
But isn't a very middle of the ground, trying to be neutral statement here, that does not give a testament to their view on different forms of racism, Jews, etc. For all we know, they didn't believe in the Nazi program, but families were held hostage, or this is just where they've always been, or they were lied to. Like, I mean, this is all really rose-tinted glasses here. But I'm just saying, I guess for anyone listening,
well,
on a score of Nazism, how Nazi'd are they?
Well, that's a genuinely good point, and the reason I chose those specific, only two out of like the thousands, those two are the ones I chose for example because they were instrumental in the whole architecture of the Holocaust. Like, they designed the Holocaust, they were a big part of it.
Oh, so I didn't know, because I know the names, but I don't know much about them, so I didn't know they were so instrumental.
So we could argue, like, to be fair to your point, we could argue that a lot of them were just part and parcel of it. Like, they didn't know any better. A lot of it was, I mean, we know what we know now.
We'll try and give them the benefit of the doubt, as a short of that. Yeah.
Back in the day, like, a lot of people who were actually Germans themselves didn't know the extent. They didn't actually know that Jews were getting exterminated unless you're actually part of the military.
Or also brainwashed, and maybe they don't believe it now, that Jews were evil.
I think if you know that it's happening to other humans, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
You can't just relegate an
but
entire...
maybe they thought they were defending.
Well, that's what Hitler
protecting.
thought. But that's what Hitler thought.
Yeah, but I mean, so also without the knowledge of, I'm talking about a lot of just Germans in general here, not necessarily these guys we're talking about here.
But
I'm trying to play devil's advocate, but I don't have a lot of conviction
a
behind myself. Yeah,
terrible devil's advocate. It's
I believe in
because,
peace and forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hitler thought of them in those ways. Didn't make him right, just
Yeah.
because that's what he genuinely thought.
Yeah.
Because they're all human beings. So, extraditing these people for war crimes wasn't something they really wanted to do because they were super fucking handy. So remember, at this point in time, this was end of the World War II, sort of signifies the start of the Cold War, which we went into a little bit in the last podcast. And the US are trying to do everything they could to get as many like good brains on board to, well, give them the edge in the Cold War.
And the space race.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, the space race. So they probably wouldn't have made it to Middle Time if it wasn't for these mines that they brought over during Operation Paperclip. But like as it is, if they knew where Hitler was, if he was alive, extraditing him for war crimes would have been an absolute nightmare. Like, can you imagine the most famous guy in the world, like the most horrific person in the world, instrumental murder of millions of people? Can you imagine what an absolute shit show his trial would be? Like, just you can't even imagine. Not possible. It would have been unsafe for
not unbiased.
It wouldn't have been unbiased.
Yeah.
It would have been unsafe for everyone involved. Like, can you just imagine like the kind of people that would just try and
sympathizers just trying to,
and you can't blame them. Like, fuck,
you what?
Oh, come on. Like, even if someone just like injured one of...
Oh, wanting to kill him?
Yeah, wanting to kill Hitler.
I thought you were going on the path of defending him. Or
no, fuck no.
Sorry, Jesus,
right,
okay,
no, but
yeah,
if you knew...
Like, oh, what?
If you knew where Hitler was going to be at a certain point in time, because you're in court, like...
Yeah, because you could understand that some people don't understand that death is easier than some punishments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would have just wanted him to die. But, okay, yeah.
And at that point, it's already, like, around that he is already dead. So, like, if you found out at a later date that he was actually still alive, would you want to extradite him publicly?
So, right, yeah. So, as one of the conspiracies, and I'm probably jumping the gun here, that they pronounced him dead just because they wanted to, I guess, question him, have them to themselves, that it been public of some sort, because doing anything so publicly would have just been a complete waste of time.
Well, very, very close. So the thought is that maybe
are you about to spoil our conspiracy?
No, because I was about to, literally what I was about to say.
Okay, sorry.
So, like, no, very, very close. So, like, the one of the many theories goes that he pretended to commit suicide. They found him very soon after, and the reason they didn't be all like, oh, he actually didn't commit suicide, is because him committing suicide was the best possible outcome. So they like killed him quietly, and just never told anyone.
You lost me a smidge there. So there's allies. Sorry, a conspiracy is that the allies killed him quietly
after he'd already pretended to commit suicide.
Oh right, okay. Yeah. So he'd faked his death, hidden his death, and the allies found him and just
killed him. What we're talking about is like if he'd faked his death, why would we not know about it?
Yeah. So it's much easier. Cool, we found him. Hey, look, we've shot him. Oh, look, turns out this is Hitler. Oh, we don't need to announce that. Just cool, we now know for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
as one option.
It's a little bit different, but look at Osama bin Laden. They spent ages trying to track him down, and they killed him. And although he found out about it, what did they do with his body and stuff? Like, they didn't announce it.
I don't know.
What?
Is this a conspiracy?
No.
Oh, I don't know what they did with his body.
You know who Osama bin Laden is?
I do. I know they found him in a hole.
Okay, cool. So you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like half Patrick. So they did that. Like, it all came... I think we found out weeks and weeks later after it actually happened. But they did this whole operation. They found Osama. They killed him and then took him out to sea. No one knows where, and they just like dumped his body overboard because they were worried that his burial site would become like a shrine to freedom fighters and shit.
Okay.
So no one knows where his body is. It's just dumped in the sea somewhere.
Okay.
So
interesting.
It would make sense that if you're actually going to kill Hitler, that you do the same thing. Like, and that's if the Soviets are to be believed, that's what they did when they like ground his ashes up when they exhumed him for like the second or third time, and like burnt him again and ground his body up into ashes and then threw him into the river. That's what they did. They just ensured that his burial site would never be a shrine.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not outside of the reaches of imagination.
Trying to destroy the cause as well, not just the man. Yeah.
That you just do it quietly, so that the whole thing like just goes away.
Yeah. Okay. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I don't think that's far outside the reaches of imagination. And
no, not at all.
Some of the like,
I'd stake my life on that has happened. Not necessarily to Hitler, but to someone.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go through some of the more crazy conspiracies?
Yeah, let's get nuts.
All right, cool. So
we're starting from the craziest.
No, these are all. I would actually say that these are all equally crazy.
All of them. Every single one is all pretty equally crazy.
Okay. I mean, I can have a quick scan through and try. They're all crazy.
Okay, they're all pretty nuts. No, I'm happy with that. Let's go.
I can go least crazy to most crazy if you reckon.
No.
But they're all much of a muchness.
Let's just get on with it. Start with some of them.
All right.
And I'll give them a score out of 10. 10 being I believe it, 1 being nah, not or 0 being nah, I don't believe it at all.
Or do you want to give a score on Hitler escaping to Argentina first?
3.
3 out of 10?
Yeah.
All right. Hitler...
I'd say Hitler just even faking his own death. We'll say 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hitler escaped to Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Why not make it the moon? Okay.
Well, hang on a second.
Oh, that's one of them. Oh, my bad.
For fuck's sake. It is, actually. So, Hitler escaped
I said it at the start.
Hitler escaped to Antarctica. What is the proof of this? That was a rhetorical question because I'm about to tell you, you're not about to tell me.
Yeah.
Argentina and Chile, geologically speaking, this is true, they're the closest countries to Antarctica. And obviously, as we discussed, he escaped to Argentina. Is that a coincidence? I think not.
Okay.
Actually, I think it is. But
Yeah.
for the purpose of this, I think not. So obviously, Hitler escaped to Argentina and then on to his secret base in Antarctica.
I'm more inclined to believe Argentina than Antarctica.
Oh, I'd hope so, because Argentina is much more realistic than Antarctica.
Mm. But you also believe New York, so okay.
No, I didn't say I believe New York. I'm just saying that...
That's where you would have gone.
Yeah, I'm just saying like a more... What's that word I'm looking for? Like
logical?
No, the word I'm looking for, like lots of people... lots of people in one place.
Inconspicuous?
That is more inconspicuous, but that's not the word I was looking for, but yes. All right, we'll go with that.
Okay, carry on. Yeah.
So, obviously, Hitler escaped to Argentina, and then he took a submarine to a secret base in Antarctica. And it is public knowledge, and it is actually public knowledge, that he sent an expedition there to Antarctica in the late 30s. But they only spent a few days there, so not much of a muchness. And also, this is not public knowledge, this is conspiracy knowledge. There might be a UFO base there, run by the Nazis, and also there might be a cave full of clones of Hitler.
Okay. So, oddly enough, the more far out there you get... Oh, as I smashed my hand into the microphone. The more far out there you get, the less logic I can apply to it to argue it.
Yeah.
So... Clones?
I
don't know. UFOs, I probably more believe in them than I don't believe in them.
Yeah, fuck yeah. UFOs, why not?
So, but if they're... I guess the only record is him sending an expedition there for a couple of days. Yeah, I know. Okay. I want to believe it. Because it sounds fun, but I don't.
Is it more fun than Hitler on the moon?
Oh, I don't know. What's Hitler on the moon?
It's pretty much as it sounds.
No, come on. There's got to be some goss there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So in 1942, Germany, apparently this is according to conspiracies, this is not actual fact.
Oh.
In 1942, Germany put Nazis on the moon. And this bit...
When did the moon landing officially happen?
1969.
So well before everyone else.
Well before. But this is partly, according to this conspiracy, thanks to Werner von Braun, who is not part of the conspiracy because we discussed him just before. He's part of Operation Paperclip with the V2 rockets and stuff.
Part of the brain drain.
Yeah, this was helped by Werner von Braun because of his
knowledge,
all that shit. So in 1942, they actually managed to put Nazis on. I don't know where they got 1942 from. But apparently that's when they put Nazis on the moon. So at the end of the war in 1949, Hitler escaped to live on the dark side of the moon, obviously, because you can't see them from here. Obviously, he would have had to have jostled for real estate with the aliens on the dark side of the moon that we discussed in the last episode.
You have to jostle if you've got a good relationship going on.
Oh, he might have.
Also explain how you get quite a lot of, this explains the whole, everything's fallen into place for me now. So all the German knowledge, how else would they get so much knowledge, especially on rockets and pressure suits and stuff from aliens? Something. Yeah.
You remember last episode when we were talking about that dude, and he's like, he saw photos of the dark side of the moon, all these spies and radios and shit.
And I said Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't aliens; it was just the Nazis.
Yeah. So, but also like the understanding of
it was just Hitler.
How they got enough knowledge to get there is a little bit of alien.
He's fucking pesky.
Assistance. He's what?
Hitler. He's just a pesky.
What's a pesky?
No, he's just pesky, isn't he? Cheeky little bastard.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. He's not really pesky if he's up there and no one knows about it.
Oh, a little bit pesky if he's like, of course, he's like buildings and shit, and people are taking photos of them and be like, these are aliens.
Yeah, and we haven't been back there for a long time. But
why is that?
No, I would put a lot of money on Hannah stroking her bed. I'd put a lot of money on someone in space-related technology industry going fact dropping on me and going this
fact. Hitler is on.
No. Going
no?
like we send satellites around it all the time. Like the ones that go back to Mars have shot back at the moon all the time, kind of thing. And it's just not even a chance. I don't
That's
know
what
that.
they want you to think.
No, yeah, agreed. And I haven't even heard that. I haven't done research, but that would just be my speculation.
Yeah, they're just what they want you to think.
Yeah. I'm just part of the machine.
You're a sheeple.
Yeah.
All right.
Every week.
So the final, a little bit out there conspiracy is that this even hit you hard because you don't know who this person is. Angela Merkel?
No.
You've heard the name?
No.
Fuck it, does it even sound familiar to you? Angela Merkel.
No, sounds like Murloc.
Who's Murloc?
It's a mythological creature.
Okay, Angela Merkel's, up until 2001, she was the Chancellor of Germany.
Okay.
Which is also, ironically, Hitler's ex-position back in the day. So the conspiracy is that Angela Merkel is actually Hitler's daughter.
Okay, is that a fact that he had kids?
No, he did not.
No, but they could be secret.
They could be secret, but also she was born in like 1954 and he died in 1949. So the conspiracy goes
that he's still alive, had a kid afterwards.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
But in terms of this specific one with Angela Merkel,
yeah,
his sperm was frozen and then implanted into Ava Braun's younger sister Margaret.
I would have just gone with one of the clones, a lot fresher, but all right.
Yeah, it would have been more sensical. But no, Hitler's frozen sperm was implanted into Ava Braun's younger sister Margaret. Hopefully they defrost it first, because it's a bit like, ooh, when you have like a...
I've never had anything cold inside me.
You never had like a, when they put the speculum up to do I suppose not.
Silence? No.
Silence?
No, you're alone.
Okay. I'm not alone.
You're alone in this room.
All the ladies listening know exactly what it's like.
Sure.
Anyway, his frozen sperm puts up into Ava Braun's youngest sister's uterus 6 years after Hitler's death, and 9 months after that, Angela Merkel is born.
That sounds like a... that one I struggle with. I think it just sounds
Well, hang on a second.
Oh, yeah.
They both love Wagner.
Which is?
Composer.
Okay.
Richard Wagner.
Okay, so
they're both like big into him, so that's just like a massive...
Yeah. But what it sounds like is someone that doesn't, in a political sense, doesn't like her and says she's pretty much the fucking new age Hitler. They both like Wagner. Done. What else do you need? Was what that sounds like. I'm honestly I was expecting more. Are
you disappointed in me?
No, but I'm surprised there's not more crazy reasons for him being alive.
Well, like I said, it was really hard to research.
Well, how come?
Because when you research it, all the things that you find is like stuff from the Hunting Hitler show, And then like Grey Wolf, which is a book, then made into a really terrible like docu-movie, which I actually watched this week. It was horrendous.
So what's Hunting Hitler like?
I didn't watch any of Hunting Hitler.
Have you seen it before?
No.
How come you didn't watch it?
Because it's horrendous.
Oh, had like reviews of it are horrendous, as in just it's clickbait, not factual.
Yeah.
Or majority,
so like
yeah.
all the facts, and I'm saying it with quotations, that they're not actually facts. It's like third hand testimony and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the longer you get, the more hands.
That's true. And also that's one of the reasons I actually gave this whole Hitler thing some credence, because on both sides, all either side has is actually witness testimony, apart from the teeth. But with the teeth, if you wanted to like really put your tinfoil hat on, you could say like Hitler was a known paranoid, and like in fact a lot of modern psychoanalysts think that he was actually paranoid schizophrenic.
Mm-hmm.
So is it outside the realms of possibility that Hitler, who was a known paranoid person, would have not wanted to have actual x-rays of his teeth taken for public knowledge? Because back then, remember, DNA testing wasn't a thing. DNA testing wasn't invented until the mid-80s.
Okay.
So back then, in terms of actually positively identifying a body, was dental records.
Mm.
So is it outside the realms of possibility that someone who was very paranoid and also the most famous person in the world and also very, very rich might have planted like fake x-rays with his dentist?
So most of the conspiracies I'm really struggling to believe, of the three you've stated, are the most believable ones. However, if you just go back to say the fact that in my mind, I guess there are two main possibilities around his death. One, he admitted defeat and didn't want anything to happen to his body, and so took his own life.
Mm-hmm.
And two, tried to hide it and ran away, which I think part of me, because a lot of cultures, a lot of what I have been taught has encouraged me to dislike Hitler, is kind of, I think, the one I want to believe, that he's more of a coward, that he ran and hid and he lived a miserable life in a dark and cold and lost a lot of privilege and had a shittier life rather than just died. And I kind of want to believe that. Not that I don't have any evidence of either side of it, and that you could get someone that, say, especially a known body double, and that person could be dead, and then you burn a lot of the corpse, and it makes something that looks very close, and then you can go into hiding, and then for both sides wanting to have it hidden as a fact that yes, he's dead, even though he's not, to end the war, and then the German side going, yeah, he's dead, like, please stop looking for him, kind of thing. I can see a lot of fuel behind that.
Well, we've got a lot of reason to say he's dead.
But it's, I guess, 3.5 out of 10 for he didn't die the way we think is my final verdict, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So is that all of us today?
Yeah, that's it.
For anyone that wants to make any comments or let us know anything, like, what's the name of the Instagram page? That's our best social media, isn't it?
The Tinfoil Tavern.
The
Tinfoil Tavern.
No underscores, no spaces.
Well, yeah, I think it's like the _tinfoil _tavern.
Cool. Do you want to give any shout out to anyone that's been sending you any feedback on that?
Yes, I do want to give a shout out.
Oh yeah.
And if you have like one of those things where you don't like weird noises, then maybe block your ears.
Oh man, okay, lean back a little bit. I don't want to blow eardrums out.
All right, Sammy. Hi, I'm Wera.
Oh man, I have no idea what that represents.
Yeah, Sammy's teaching me Afrikaans.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Wera means.
Sounds like you're sucking on a dick.
It does. It also means good morning in South African.
Oh,
and
cool.
when I say she's teaching me South Africans.
That's what she's talking.
Afrikaans.
Yeah.
She's taught me that, and also brike, which means a barbecued sandwich. So I can say good morning and barbecued sandwich.
Barbecued sandwich is an interesting one.
Yeah.
I'll give a shout out to Caitlin, one of my favourite sisters of yours. Ash, because I know he listens, and I'll see if he makes it all the way to the end of this one. The Kennedys, because you motherfuckers jump all the way to the end of each episode.
Thank you for the limes, Kennedys. This was part of the cocktail that Busby absolutely hated. Oh,
good point. And if they want to find the recipe for tonight's cocktail, will also be on the Instagram page.
It was delicious. Alice will love it.
How much of it did you drink?
It was delicious.
We'll catch you next time because you didn't fucking finish. This has been the Tinfoil Tavern. My name's Thomas. Pointing at you.
My name's Hannah.
We planned that. And we'll catch you next time.